Central Phoenix.
You're listening to the Calo Radio Show with your host, Sid De La Fuente, on the Central City Radio Network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Sid De La Fuente, here on the Calo Radio Show. As you see, my guest now is Travis Angry, and he's very gentle. His name is Angry, but he's a kind person, and he's running for AZ Senate District LD4, correct?
Yes, sir, LD4.
LD4. You want to introduce yourself? And
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Sid. I appreciate it. Travis Angry, Arizona State Senate LD4. It's an honor to be representing the great district here in Arizona, a district that has not seen a Republican run in this particular seat for the last 6 years.
6 years?
Yes, 6 years. My Democratic opponent has been running unopposed for the last 2 election cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have not been able to give voters a particularly good option. And so it feels great to step up and serve one more time.
Good.
Rather than being in a uniform, United States Navy uniform, it feels great to get back serving.
And okay, like I told you out there in the lobby, I said, yeah, Navy, Marines couldn't, we like, well, I could say I like the Navy because they took us everywhere. They took me everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere I went, I had a ship ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Marines always made sure that whenever any of these ships went into areas of port calls that needed protection, Marines always showed up. And, it was awesome.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad you're here, Travis. Now, we're going to, your bio, we'll go over a little bit of your bio, and what I want to open up with, because this is what I really want to open up with. Your story, who you are, okay, who you are as a person, and your story, I think it really needs to be told, and it really needs to be heard, because with all that's going on right now, the negativity, some of the good stuff, some of it bad, but I think your story has a future for some to hear. That there's hope. There is hope, not only hope, that it can be done. A future for somebody, that a future can be done, even with obstacles. And I'll let you, with that, I'll leave it, tell your story.
Well, you know what, thank you, Sid. I mean, being, a African-American and with everything going on with race relations in our country, the divide and everything, and I see, the protesters and I see the rioting and looters and stuff. I can relate to some of those kids because I was that young man that was lost many, many, many years ago. I'm from Miami, Florida. I grew up in the South. My mother's from the Bahamas. My dad is from Georgia. And I had a very tough teenage life. I dropped out of high school. And after dropping out of high school, I was on the streets of Miami for 11 years. I was a directionless youth. And I didn't have any direction in my life, even though I had great parents, and my dad was a principal school teacher, and my mom was a teacher. I was one of 4 boys. I was the second oldest and stuff. And so for me, I just think that I was just a lost young man, not knowing where I stood. So the age of 14, 15, 16 years old, it was a really depressing, hard time for me. And I remember that day when I walked out of school for the last time. My guidance counselor was trying to talk to me. She was trying to encourage me, stay in school, stay in school. But my mind was already giving up, and I gave up not only on education, but also almost giving up on my life. And so for those 11 years, I was around gang life, and I was around bad people that, didn't do me any good. And so for those 11 years, I think were the darkest years of my life. But I remember that moment where I came to like a crossroads where I realized, oh my goodness, I can't continue to go on like this, you know?
Okay.
And so I made a decision, just walking around, the streets one day. I saw this Navy recruiting office. And I write this in my book because I'm an author of a book called Change If I Can,
That's
You
correct.
Can.
Mhm.
And in that book, in chapter 3, I write about seeing this neighbor recruiting office.
Uh-huh.
And just spontaneously, I walked in there. And when I walked in there, I met a recruiter. His name was Petty Officer Williams. And he gave me the ASVAB test and asked me what I inspired to do. And I actually scored well enough to be able to enter the United States Navy. And I remember I came home and told my parents, I'm going to Navy, I'm going to Navy. But you have to understand, it was so hard for them to believe that I was going to Navy when I was on the streets. And I wasn't doing nothing but going to clubs and hanging around, gangs and stuff of that nature. But when I joined Uncle Sam's military and I left for boot camp, the military in those 9 weeks of boot camp, the first 2 weeks, it broke me. It broke me. And that's what they were doing. It broke me, and then it built me into this Navy sailor where in my life I hadn't had structure.
Okay.
And when the military began to give me that structure, how to march and how to lead and how to walk in formation and how to honor, not just yourself, but also your flag, the sailors that you're serving with, the Marines you're serving with, it really gave me hope. And I graduated from Navy boot camp, and I went off overseas to Japan, and I went off to Iraq, and I just became a whole new person. But I didn't realize that there was a battle still waiting for me ahead. And when I came home from Iraq, I got out the military, and I was immediately diagnosed with cancer. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin disease lymphoma.
Oh, boy.
And so for 14 years, I've been battling Hodgkin disease lymphoma. I've been battling different types of lymphomas. I was first diagnosed in 2004. I went through 6 months of chemotherapy, radiation, went into remission.
Yeah.
And then the second one, I was diagnosed in 2012, and I went through 5 months of just chemo, and I went into remission. Then in 2016, I was diagnosed with a third lymphoma, and I went through 6 months of chemotherapy along with follow-up of a transplant where I successfully went through a stem cell transplant. And during this time, I just grew closer to my faith, and I became a Christian, and I got baptized.
Right.
And that helped me to become not only a better man, but become a better dad and a better human being. And then shortly after that, I joined the Republican Party after meeting Herman Cain. And he became a mentor to me, who I followed, who I studied, and I learned about my values, my principles. And then I realized, I have a brain, I have a mind, this is my life. I'm going to begin to think for myself, not with what others want me to do.
Kind of like I get with that thinking of what I want to do. That's what I because I let people know I was a liberal before. I came from California. But when I got here, I had a mentor that his name was Phil, and he mentored me. We talked, and I found out, hey, I want to think outside the box. I don't want to be in this box that the liberals have. I want to be outside the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of know what you're coming from.
And there's value in that because when you're able to define who you are, you can value who you are.
Correct.
And that value lets you know, oh my goodness, I pay my taxes.
Yeah.
I am in the union. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day. And with that, you're able to really say, my values, my principles align with this party platform. Therefore, I'm going to go this route. And I was not scared of the response that I was going to get. But, I took it on. And today, I'm a better person, and I'm very efficient, and I'm proud to serve once again.
Great. No, try. What your story is one of meaning, is one of was really needed now, because now even in the Hispanic community, it's something I tell people within the Hispanic community also, that we just kind of, my mentor Phil that was saying, he goes, when we were talking, he goes, you're Hispanic, but you don't realize you're conservative too. Yeah. And after we got talking, I said, yeah, that's right. We are, because the values that the conservatives have, the Republicans have, why am I liberal? Because you look at it, I looked at it like, why am I liberal? Because I want to think for myself.
Yeah.
I want to do things that I think are the right way, the correct way for me, my family, and others around me. You know?
Yeah, I mean, serving in the military really teaches you about the value of your land, especially when you
Yes.
go over third world countries and you go over to communist countries like we would do port cars in the Navy in China and Japan and North Korea and stuff of that nature. Oh man, so I tell some of my kids, you guys don't realize how good you got it.
Correct. I tell my kids the same
You know what I'm
thing,
saying?
yeah.
Like, if you understood,
Yeah.
you would be amazed. But, getting back to what you're saying, yeah, I used to be a Democrat. But for me, was I really a Democrat or was I really a Republican? I think a lot of people are going through the crossroads. My dad and my grandfather used to say, you know you're a Republican or a Democrat how you spend your money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that's true.
If you
got a
spend-
point. You got a point there.
if you spend your money conservatively, you know where you're going. If you just spend your money, just spend, and you don't have nothing left off,
Yeah,
then you know you're liberal.
that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
And then you're trying to get other people's
And then
money.
you have to get other people's money.
to go ahead and spend some more.
And quite frankly, said my grandfather used to say, I can spend your money better than I can spend my own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear what you say. But yeah, that was your story, and I could relate with you in the military, being overseas and seeing other. Because I tell my kids the same thing when they were growing up. I have an 18-year-old and a 26-year-old now. Growing up, I told them a lot. I was stationed out in the Philippines. In the Philippines, I'll tell you a quick story. Their children, we go into it's not there no more, Subic Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And in Subic Bay, we would have to cross a bridge to get there. And there was these kids in this muddy water. And this is the water that's, contaminated, it's dirty, it's black, it's everything and anything goes in there. And these kids are in there swimming. And they're asking us to throw quarters, 50-cent piece, or even dollar bills if we had something. And some of them would. They'd throw them a quarter, but they let it drop. They wouldn't let it. They wouldn't let it catch it or nothing. They let it drop, and they would actually go and dive for it, come up with it, and out of their mouth pull it. And it was like, in a sense, it's you look at that and it's like,
Yeah.
it's hurting in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, I don't want this to happen to our country. We don't have that. I think our country is enough to fight for and to defend and to really be a part of it.
Yeah, and you know what? This day and age, with everything happening with the coronavirus and happening with race relations and stuff, and the challenges of what the Democrats are trying to do to bring down, our president, Donald Trump, who I think, under the circumstances that he's been dealt, is doing a great job.
Correct.
With a strong economy. We have an opportunity to really show our kids, the generation, the value of why we're fighting, what we're fighting for.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying.
And I tell my daughter, who's 14 years old and who's 12 and stuff, and we have family talks where we talk about the different issues and stuff of that nature and everything. The value of the land continues to be with you getting a good education.
Mm-hmm. And that is correct. A good education, because I remember my father. We used to go when he was alive. We were on a ranch, and we used to help out there. We used to pick plums, grapes, peaches, all the fruit.
The cotton field.
Yeah. So we were there, and he used to tell us. He goes, all three of us. He used to say, you don't get an education, and you don't learn. This is where you're going to be. This is your only job you're going to be able to handle.
Absolutely.
Is out here in the fields.
Absolutely.
So I advise you guys get an education, at least some education where you don't have to be out here in the sweat and the heat and out here with everything, bugs and all this. Get somewhere.
Right. And you know what? I have this quote on my website. I don't know if you've had a chance to tell your viewers and stuff, but you can go to my website, www.angryforarizona.com. And in the education aspect, I say education starts at home and education ends at home.
Yes.
To educate your family is leading your family.
Yeah.
And education should never start in the classroom. It starts when that mother holds her baby for the first time. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
And there's so much value in educating. Your kids should be hearing what your opinion is on the issues, not in the classroom.
Yes, yes. Like today, and I think that's what's happening. A lot of professors, especially in the college and universities.
Mhm.
A lot of professors putting their own. I remember going to school. When I went to school, you didn't have no teacher putting their opinion in, or you didn't have their. They were teaching you. They taught you 1+1 is 2, 2+2 is 4. They taught. That's what they did.
But
was
the
teach.
problem is the school system and the curriculum, they pull the history out of the curriculum
Yes.
at the early age. I remember in elementary school where we used to talk about the different presidents of the United States. I remember when we used to talk about what the Civil War
That is
was,
true.
the Civil Rights Movement.
Yeah.
We didn't wait till we got to high school in our junior year
Yeah.
to now take History 101.
And then it's also when you I don't know about California, they had that as an elective.
Exactly.
An elective. So you didn't. When I was going to say that's something you had to take.
Absolutely.
You
History
could-
was a
yeah.
requirement.
Yeah, and now it's an elective.
And now it's elective.
So,
And so if we wonder why our kids don't know where they're coming from, it's because we're not educating them from a historic point of view.
I tell you, well, let me get to some of these questions on your.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, but Travis, okay, fine. You have that issues, which are 6 of them.
Mhm.
Okay, let's start with the border. What's your strike on the border? What's your take on that?
My whole thing is we have to start off the foundation. You know, I bought a home back in 2018. I tell this to my kids, and we watched the cement be laid down, which is foundation. We watched the frames go up, and we watched the home be built. And I said, this is our sovereignty. Like, I value our home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't mind people coming to my home. I just
Yeah.
want them to come in properly.
Yeah.
And that's the way we have to treat our great United States, is
Yeah.
that we're sovereignty country. I want there to be a good pathway for people to come from different countries, because that helps us to continue to be a great formative country that inspires the world. But we need to protect our borders.
Yes.
Our borders need to be protected. And here's why it needs to be protected. Because we have a strong economy. And so people come in and they do self-destructive things. Not all. Not all. Okay? But we have to secure our border to protect our sovereignty and give people the proper way to come. Now, there's been a lot of people who've been waiting in lines for many years.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So we have to recognize them, right?
Right.
And give them a pathway, but we have to protect our borders, especially with the drugs that are coming across the border as well. That is a serious issue.
That is a very serious issue. You see it, especially with the border states. Border states like us also, it is something that is coming, trying every which way it tries to get in.
Absolutely.
Drugs kind of, and we do have, like you say, we do have to secure our borders because myself, being Hispanic, being Latino, and being my father, I'll give you a little take. My father was an immigrant from Mexico. He's from Mexico, but came here the right way. Okay, my grandfather gave him a choice. I fix your papers, or I buy you a bar in the town so you can run.
Right.
My father goes, no, I'm going to America. I want to go to America. So my grandfather fixed his paper, did everything right. And that's what kind of irritates me, and a lot of, not only myself, but a lot of American Hispanics and Latinos, is that our parents, our grandparents before us did everything the right way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did everything the right way, the way America was meant it to be.
Right.
And then we became, at the end, before my father passed away, he became a citizen.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome that he became a citizen. And he always said, your flag, son, even more when I signed up, because I was only 17 when I went into the service. So they had to sign for me. And his flag, when he had to sign for me, he looked at the paper, he said, and then he looked at me, he said, do you want to do this? And I said, yes, Dad, I do. He says, yeah, you always told me you did. He goes, and I always told you that this was your country, this was your flag. Defend it.
Absolutely.
And he signed.
Awesome.
So, you know, so I know that and the border, it's like we have to secure it. We do, and I agree 100% with you that what you just said is correct.
We've had some people lose their kids to illegal immigration. You know, in criminal acts.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another reason why we have to really make sure we protect our border.
Okay. Now, Travis, we got at the end here soon, but I'm gonna invite you back. You got to come back
Absolutely, I will.
because we didn't finish up.
No, man, we got more to talk about.
Yeah, we got more to talk, especially a lot with the issues. But I want you to give. Where can people get a hold of you? How can they get a hold of you? Where can they get a hold of maybe to help you out?
Well, you know what? What I want to do for this show is I want to donate some books to your show, and you can do it random, and you can give it to a viewer who may want to, you know, win a prize or something like that and stuff. But yeah, viewers can go to my website. I actually have two websites. My campaign website is www.angryforarizona.com. If you want to read about my youth program, my personal website is www.travisangry.com. They can go ahead and follow me there. I write a lot. I'm an author, I'm a blogger, and I write about this great country that we're defending.
This fabulous country, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are 100% correct there.
Yes, sir.
100% correct. Well, Travis, I got to have you back.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to get back soon.
Yes.
Because, like I said, we didn't finish here. We got a lot more to talk
Absolutely.
about. So I appreciate it. And I thank you, but we're going to come back again.
Semper Fi. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for coming in. And like I said, we are going to bring back Travis Angry back again. I wish you the best too. God bless on this run. Like I told Joe, when you come here, I don't say when you get elected. You are elected.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let's go win.
Let's go win. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Calo Radio Show with your host, Sid De La Fuente.
What you need to know. This is Talk Central, a Central City radio station.